Well, hello, and welcome to my latest video. Interesting thing happened to me yesterday. I was out in the garden, and I was chatting over the fence with a new neighbour who's just moved in. He's a gentleman around about my own age, Belgian, fairly rotund. I thought at first it was Hercule Poirot, the famous detective from the Agatha Christie novels. But no, it turns out the gentleman's name was Nigel, and Nigel Merckx was his name. And we were chatting away, and we got onto the subject of cycling, as you do. And he said to me that he had a brother by the name of Edward, who's quite a well-known cyclist. Now, I'd never heard of this Edward Merckx. I looked him up later. And it seems that he was quite good in his day. Rode the Tour de France a couple of occasions. He even won his club 10-mile TT on once, I think. But then later on in his career, he was called a cannibal. And this rather derailed his success. And he was never quite the same rider again. And it's interesting, really, because these days... the worst that a cyclist is accused of being is a doper, isn't it? I mean, I haven't heard of any modern-day cyclist. Even Lance Armstrong has never been accused of being a cannibal. So times have changed, I suppose you could say. So I had a bowl of chips with mayonnaise, a couple of bottles of Trappist beer, and I said to Nigel, did his brother ever have any kind of advice or suggestions for cyclists who were, wanted to improve or wanted to get better? And he said yes. Edward had a saying. He used to say, "Don't ride upgrades, buy Zwift upgrades." And I thought that was quite a good little saying, because I'm very keen on Zwift, the online turbo training platform I'm sure you're all familiar with. Anyway, I went inside and I checked my email. Lo and behold, I had an email from Zwift. And they said they really liked my channel and they were introducing a few upgrades and they wanted me to be the first to hear about them and to try them. They said I was getting them before GP Rainmaker and before DC Llama, and I could introduce them to my YouTube audience, you wonderful people out there. And they thought I'd try it out. So I did. So I've had a look for you, and I'm really pretty impressed. Now, if you're a user of Zwift, you'll know that they have what's called a drop shop. And when you do more miles and you do more elevation, you earn sort of points, and points equivalent to sort of prize money, which you can spend on in the drop shop. For example, get a better bike or a better set of wheels, something like that. And Zwift have introduced some more things into the drop shop that you can spend your money on, and that's what I want to tell you about today. And the first thing is, when you're riding along on Zwift through Watopia or London or New York, whichever world you're in, occasionally you see things written on the ground, and you think, wouldn't it be nice if my name was written on the ground and it said, for example, Allez Julien? That would really give me a boost when I was cycling along. Well, that's the thing, or the first thing that they've introduced into the drop shop. If you pay 10,000 points, you can get Allez Julien, or whatever your name is, Nigel, Edward, Fred, Bob, Samantha, Genevieve, on the road in front of you while you ride. Now, if I'm wearing my Kangol hat, which I think makes me look a bit like Samuel L. Jackson, then I can get Allez Samuel L. Jackson written on the road. I don't want Frank Spencer. I don't want Wolfie from the Tooting Liberation Front. I want Samuel L. Jackson, or at a pinch, if I can't get that, I'll have Allez Che Guevara. And if I can't get either of those, then I'll have my new favourite look, which is Miami Steve Van Zandt, famous guitarist with Bruce Springsteen. So it'll say Allez Miami Steve, who is a very keen cyclist, by the way. You may not know that. Now, the second thing that they've introduced to the drop shop I'm going to leave the Miami Steve hat on. I quite like that. Or bandana, as I call it. Bandana. When you're out on the road cycling in the real world, you quite often get a close pass. You'll know what I mean. A car comes up close beside you and brushes you with its wing mirror. Really annoying, irritating thing. Happens all the time. Well, they've introduced a close pass upgrade into the Zwift drop shop. And the way it works is if you pay 5,000 points, you'll get a little old lady in a Fiat 500. If you pay 10,000 points, you'll get a retired teacher in a Citroën Picasso. If you pay 15,000 points, you'll get a middle manager, early 40s, passed over for promotion in a BMW or Audi A4, probably from about 5 years ago. If you pay 20,000 points, you can get a 17-year-old driving his parents' Golf. If you pay 25,000 points, you can get a Range Rover. And if you pay 50,000 points, yes, 50,000 points, you can get an Ineos Grenadier 8x8 driven by the whole Ineos team, not Chris Froome because he's not in the team anymore, and that will do a close pass of you, which is really something to tell your friends about on Zwift. Now they've also introduced, now you can't get the close pass and this next bit together, that's just in beta at the moment, but the next element is abuse. If you pay 5,000 points, you'll get a child who will say to you, did you know your wheels are going round? If you pay 10,000 points, you'll get a teenager, maybe 13, 14, saying get off and milk it. If you pay 15,000 points, you'll get a young lad, maybe 19, maybe 20, who'll call you a TOSSER. If you pay 25,000 points, you'll get the same teenager, but usually with a mate of his, and he'll call you a PRICK. If you pay 30,000 points, you'll get somebody who will shout the C word at you. Yes, you're riding along in Watopia or London or Innsbruck, whoever it is, and somebody will lean out of the window and they'll call you a Catholic. Now, you know, does that enhance the cycling experience in Zwift or does it not? Now, as I say, at the moment, you can't get the close pass and the abuse together. That's coming soon. But one thing you can get is if you pay an additional 10,000 points, you can get the close pass uploaded to Road CC. So everybody on the internet can see that you're a cyclist who suffered a close pass. Yes, you're one of the few people in the country to suffer a close pass. How about that? And everybody can watch it. And if you pay an additional 15,000 points, I hope you're keeping track, there's 25,000 points altogether. You're going to have to do a lot of miles to add up these points. You can get it uploaded to Jeremy Vine's Twitter feed, so he can share it. You know, he always shares those videos of when he's cycling in traffic home from his show on Radio 2 or Channel 5 or whatever it is, and you can add to that and be one of those people on his boring Twitter feed. So they're pretty good upgrades. Now, the next one they've added is Banter. Now, when you're out on the road in real life, you're cycling with your mates, you'll get involved in some really exciting, witty, cutting-edge banter. It'll be things like, do you prefer Campi or Shimano? Or have you ever tried SRAM and the double tap? Or what do you think of tubeless tyres? Or I'm thinking of getting a gravel bike or an e-bike. What do you think? Or is Chris Froome ever going to win another Tour de France? Or what chance has got of Alex Dowsett of beating the hour record? So you've got this kind of cutting edge banter with your mates that's now been added to Zwift. Right? You don't need Discord, you don't need Zoom, you don't need anything like that. You just pay the 10,000 points, and your screen, as you're riding along, every now and again will shout at you something like, do you prefer Shimano to Campy? Or, a really a witty joke, for example, possibly something vaguely racist. I'm sure you've experienced that during your cycling trips. So, Banter, very good addition. The next addition is the coffee stop. Now, no cycling trip is replete without a decent coffee stop. So, you pay, again, 10,000 points, and you're riding along in Zwift, and suddenly, boom, there you are. It's coffee stop time. Yes, you'll have to have a soy flat latte, an almond milk flat soy latte with organic sugar. Yes, you can get that. You can also get a vegan, non-vegan sugar coffee, non-vegan milk vegan coffee. You've got to pay an extra 20,000 points for that. And if you pay 10,000 points, you can get a rather dry, they call it homemade flapjack, but actually they're all bought in from the same place. Or you can get one of those energy bars that you've never heard of with a name like, I don't know, Grenade or Monsoon or World War One trench foot, something that really gives you an idea of what it tastes like and the kind of boost that it gives you to your energy. So the coffee stop is very useful. At the moment, of course, it's only takeaway, but hopefully it'll be a proper stop. And then the final upgrade that they've introduced, again, you've got to pay 10,000 points, is particularly useful if you're in a race, because your opponents are maybe getting ahead of you, you're not happy about it, and you press the special puncture button on the screen and boom, your opponent will have a puncture. Now that is a really useful addition to the Zwift experience, but Zwift, they're pretty sharp, those guys in San Francisco or whatever it is, because what they've added is a little trick, and that is if your opponent presses the button for you at the same time, you will both get a puncture and therefore you'll both have to stop. It'll be about 10 minutes, possibly longer, depending on the severity of the puncture and whether it's a tubeless tyre. And if you add the Banter option, then the screen will say things like, can I borrow a tube? Or have you got a spare CO2 canister? Or I always struggle getting Conti tyres off the rim. Do you? Or just as you've finished the puncture, you've put your wheel back in, you've pumped it up, it'll say, would you like a hand with that? So that's really real life banter been added to the Zwift experience. So I think you'll agree with me that those are pretty good collection of upgrades. So the next time you go on Zwift, you switch it on, it'll buffer, it'll download, it'll take about 10 minutes to 4 hours depending on the speed of your connection. And obviously if you've done the miles and therefore you've earned the points, you can spend them in the drop shop and you can get all of those particular upgrades. Just remember that the close pass and the abuse are at the moment separate. It's going to be probably a week or two before you can get them both at the same time. But the upload to Road CC, the upload to Jeremy Vine, that's already done. So I want to thank Zwift for letting me try out these upgrades. I'm really grateful for that, and letting me share them with my audience. So hope you enjoy that. I just want to leave you with a little joke that Nigel Merckx told me. He said it was about two cannibals. One of them was his brother, one of them was somebody else, he didn't know the other one, and they were eating a clown, and his brother said to the other cannibal, does this taste funny to you? And yes, well, me and Nigel, we had a good laugh over the garden fence, and I hope you did too. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.